All right, what up YouTube? So I just got back from NFT NYC and I had the opportunity to interview a lot of up and coming projects, a lot of new projects, some of the biggest names in the game. And one of the projects that really intrigued me the most was the Koii Network. So honestly, Al, it's the CEO of Koii Network. Guy's so smart, man. He built this network himself. Obviously, he's got a team of people that help him now, but you'll hear that in the interview. So I just want to show you a little bit about the Koii Network. I don't think that their token is actually launched yet, but they got a lot of cool things going on. And one of the cool things is the Fini wallet. So I want to show you guys this. I'm going to set up my Fini wallet, and then I'm sure Al will be sending over NFTs and stuff like that. And I'll bring him back on the show. He'll definitely be down in Miami at Decentralization, so I'll have him back on the show there. So before I overtalk it and keep yapping, let's just get it. Of course, as always, this video is for entertainment purposes only. I'm not a financial advisor. Anything that you hear, see, or read on this channel is for educational and entertainment purposes only. You always need to do your own research and consult with your own financial advisor. That being said, check out this, right? So the Atomic Zombies, this is a dope NFT project. They launched 10,000 zombies, decline. So I want to raise a zombie, guys. But in order to do so, I need the Fini wallet. So if we come up here to the top right-hand corner of the screen, you'll actually be able to see the Fini wallet. So if we come up to the top right hand of the screen, you're gonna hit Get Fini now, add Chrome extension. I've already added it, so you're just gonna add Chrome extension. Then after that, it's gonna ask you, do you want an Ethereum key or do you want a AR Weaver key? Now for cross transactions, I don't know what the difference is. I just know Ethereum's super expensive. So anytime I can avoid doing anything on Ethereum, I will. So you're just gonna go through this process. Now you're gonna click and view your secret, reveal secret word, make sure you write it down. So obviously once you go through, you save your seed words, you create your password, you make sure you back everything up, double back it up, safe, secure locations, never keep it at your house. So what's awesome about this is you need Koii, right? But you can go to the faucet. Oh dang, faucet's not working. I'll bring Al back on the show to run me through this because I'm really tight on time. But that's basically how you set up the Koii Network. You set up your wallet, everything should be good to go. You can create a KID to connect cross-chain assets. So this is like, there's a lot that I'm probably gonna miss and I don't wanna say it wrong and try to teach you guys wrong. So I'll bring Al back on the show, even if he wants to come back on before Miami and talk more about this project. This is just definitely one of those projects that you definitely wanna keep your eye on because I don't know how to really explain it, but when you meet somebody and you can kind of just tell, is that person like BSing or do they actually understand what they're actually talking about? And when I met Al, just the knowledge and his understanding of blockchain and technology and seeing the people that he was associating himself with just really made me, like, I was very intrigued at first and then started to learn more about his project. And you guys will hear in this interview, it's definitely one of these projects that you should be keeping your eye on. So before I overtalk it,
Great.
What's up, Al? Welcome to the party, man.
Yeah, great to meet you.
So we ran into each other at, was it the Polygon after party last night?
Yeah, I think that was the one.
Yep. So tell me more about your project. I didn't get enough time to do my research and
Sure.
what got you in the crypto space and what is your project and where can people find you at?
So the project's called Koii.
Yep.
It's Koii. It stands for Knowledgeable, Open, and Infinite Internet.
All right.
This is a project that I started in roughly 2017. It actually led me to crypto. So I found crypto while I was trying to solve this problem. And I wanted to build a decentralized social media network because it really is an important thing for our society for people to be able to actually connect directly and to be able to transparently see the information that's leading up to what they see in their newsfeed.
Yep.
So you need to be able to see, like, why is this politician showing up at the top of my newsfeed? It's really important, right? And so I tried to build this on Ethereum. I've tried to implement it on a number of different technology stacks. And I actually ran a company called We Teach Blockchain in Chicago for a while, where we were basically going through and researching all of these different technology stacks in an effort to understand how this could be achieved. And what we've built with Koii is essentially a single platform that you can use written in JavaScript that you can upload anything onto this network. And we take care of taking it into some things like Arweave for permanent storage, or we put things onto Ethereum if you want to sell them on OpenSea, or we can use IPFS to temporarily store files for you. So we've got all of these different technology stacks, and we have our own network of layer N nodes that sit on top of all of these other blockchain networks, so that it makes everything a lot easier for the end users and also for developers.
Wow.
A lot of thoughts.
Yeah, a lot of thoughts. So where does that, like, what is the, for somebody that's new to crypto, what is the, like, the tech there? Like, where is the, like, how do you guys get integrated with these other blockchains and how are people going to adopt and build? And tell me more. I'm super curious now.
So the really hard thing with most of these networks is not actually interacting with them. It's writing software that can talk to them properly. And so most of them already have like obfuscation wrappers that are written in JavaScript. So they've already got some layers on top of what they do that make it easy for people to build stuff with them.
Yep.
But getting those systems to coordinate and talk to each other is hard. So if you have an NFT that's stored on one network, you want to move it to another network, the complexity of tracking that and having like a validation of that event where it moves across the chain, that's really, really difficult. And so what we do is to kind of facilitate a broader ecosystem of projects that can interact with multiple blockchains and not just live in one.
Sick, man.
Yeah, all through having these. So the real goal is that we want to have everybody's phones and personal computers be able to plug into this and use them for just a little bit of stuff. So like one example is web scraping. It's really valuable to be able to go look at the internet and map out different pieces of information. This is what Google does, right? They go and look at all these different websites and they correlate what's real, what's fake, what's possibly useful content, what might not be. They go and they do all of this all the time. They're constantly scraping all these different sites. We can do that with people's phones and their computers using Koii. So we have a product called StoreCat on Koii now that does web scraping using people's personal devices. And so I can pay you to use your phone while you're sleeping, just because you have an IP address. We really want that to be kind of the potential here. Like anybody takes their phone, their computer, they hook it up to the Koii Network, and they do services for other blockchains. So another example of a service is creating thumbnails for your NFTs. So a lot of NFTs are really big pictures.
Yep.
What happens if you want to show those in a place where you don't want like a 5 megabyte photo, like on mobile, right? So you need to compress it down, create a really small thumbnail, and then temporarily store that on IPFS. And so this is something that you can do in a centralized way. You could. But if we really want decentralization to happen, we have to think bigger than that, right?
Yep.
And so what we've been trying to do is to make thumbnails for all of our dynamic NFTs that update once a day, and we store them onto IPFS, and then we update all the routing automatically. And so the one on OpenSea always reflects the latest version of the thumbnail as it was created by Koii nodes. And in the background, the Koii nodes are just going and pulling all this information and kind of recreating what's already there.
That's insane. And you were telling me yesterday that you basically coded all this yourself, right? Like you.
Oh no, I can't say that.
Well, not all
I
of it,
make
but
the prototypes. I start out with making the prototypes myself. I spend a lot of I'll have like a 48-hour dev sprint over a weekend where I get something started, and then I hand it off to somebody. So a few weeks ago, I worked on a DID project because I really wanted to kind of bring the decentralized identities to Koii. It was a thing that we had with our bridges where we're moving NFTs across chains, and we needed to be able to correlate an Ethereum address with an Arweave address for an individual user. And so I came up with this concept for a DID that was cross-chain. I wrote up the concept, I wrote a document, I worked with our media team to figure out how we were going to present it. I built a prototype, and then I've handed the prototype off now to 2 of my engineers who are working full-time on that. And I've got our media team kind of working on correspondence messaging, and we're going to be doing a launch around Guy Fawkes Day for our decentralized identifiers. Because that's how you partake in a new decentralized governance system. So you have to have an identifier.
So how is that? How are people going to identify? You guys basically verify that they are who they are, and then they stay anonymous that way, and only one entity actually knows who the person is, or?
So with the DIDs, the thing about a DID is that you don't actually, it's not like your driver's license. Like it's not some kind of we have a photo of you and now we know that this is you. What we actually do is something called attestations. So you take a DID, which is just like a blockchain record. It's almost just like an NFT.
Yeah.
It lives on the blockchain. And then you add information to it. And the information gets added from all kinds of different parties. So instead of having a driver's license that has your photo on it, you get an attestation from the DMV saying this guy is allowed to drive a car. And so they don't even need to know your name. They just need to know that the DMV said you're allowed to drive a car, and you show your DID. That's kind of the goal. What we're doing with it right now is just for bridges and all the kind of blockchain native stuff. But long term, I think it's got a lot of potential.
Wow.
Yeah. I should say too, thanks to the amazing, Arweave is just an incredible system. We're able to store and create these DIDs for less than a penny on a decentralized network. And they include a profile page, a bunch of stuff like that. They also, as a part of this, have the ability to, they basically allow you to update all of this content dynamically while it's on chain. So we create the DID for less than a penny, and then we can write updates to it for less than 1,000th of a penny. And so these things are really inexpensive, really scalable, really efficient, and we could quite easily use them to build an entire voting system right now. And these aren't running on Ethereum, so there's no gas fees. We're really much more efficient on that side of it. And the only time that you would take them over to Ethereum is if you're using them for something like a bridge, where you might need to interact with the Ethereum blockchain where it's a bit more expensive.
Yep. And then once the Ethereum proof of stake comes out, then you can operate efficiently on there as well.
Yeah, exactly. So the goal that we're trying to make is for a developer who wants to use these systems, they don't actually really want to think about whether or not Ethereum's going to scale. They just want to write their programs and then have them work as efficiently as possible.
Yep.
So we think of this kind of like being a compiled language. So we start with something like Koii is a very high level protocol that allows you to get what you need from the underlying systems.
Yep. That's super cool, man. And what is your guys' market cap, and how is your tokenomics, and how do things like that work?
So the market cap, we're in private sales at the moment, so we haven't actually launched the token.
Okay.
The way the token works, though, is kind of neat. So we wanted to create a system that empowered content creators and end users more so than node operators, because node operators are really infrastructure providers. So what we did was we actually made the token issue directly to the end users. And so depending on how much attention you get on your content that's on the Koii Network, you get Koii tokens every day. And so we mint the tokens every day. We give them out to people who bring in content. And then the cool part is node operators run their nodes and they say, I'm willing to do services for these content creators. So maybe I'm a content creator who makes a lot of NFTs. I need thumbnails for those NFTs so I can put them in a gallery. Or maybe I want a collection page that's like a custom DID portal. Willing to do services for these content creators. So maybe I'm a content creator who makes a lot of NFTs. I need thumbnails for those NFTs so I can put them in a gallery. Or maybe I want a collection page that's like a custom DID portal. All of these things require nodes on the back end. They require things to be written to Arweave. There's all this complexity, right? So for a content creator, they pay once using Koii tokens, and then on the back end, Koii nodes go and they fulfill that task. They pay to write things to Arweave, they pay to upload things to Ethereum for you. They do all these different things that you need. And you get the power to do that because you're the one with the attention. You're the one with the platform and the pull. So for you, actually, if you started publishing
that's
stuff
what I was
Koii,
just thinking.
Yeah, that's exactly. So we're working on we call it like an artist studio, essentially. And so our goal is that an artist, like yourself, could publish a blog post, like start out curating a blog in a decentralized way, earn some attention that way, get enough attention that you can pay to upload videos and other content, and start to build like an actual decentralized portal that lives on decentralized networks completely. And you can mine attention this way. And then you can cross-publish it from there to YouTube and other places like that, But you start with decentralization. That's kind of what we're working towards.
We'll have to get somebody from your team when you guys get that fully up and running to like maybe do like a training, like how to go about like the process of actually getting that content.
You would be amazed how easy it is. So right now with the Fini wallet, you can click and drag any file off your computer and it'll instantly turn it into an NFT and start tracking attention on it. And then once it's in there, you can add it to a collection, which generates a page on Koii.rocks. It's your personal collection page that you can show to people, and it mines attention for you every time somebody goes there.
When are you guys launching?
So we've actually already launched a lot of these prototypes. We've been building prototypes for about 11 months. We actually founded the company about 11 months ago formally. We went through 3 accelerators this year. And so we've kind of like, every time that we go through one of these programs or we work with these people, they kind of help us launch a number of new products that show off what we're doing. And so our goal has been to launch a fully fledged ecosystem. So when Koii launches, I want to have 10 prototypes already running on the network that are already paying nodes to do things. And I want hundreds of content creators. And in fact, we already have them. So we launched our first prototype, which is a wallet, about 2 months ago. And it now has 15,000 users. And they're generating enough content that we're pulling in about, I think we've got 16 million hits on the website in the last 3 months. So the content creators are uploading their stuff. They try to mine attention by showing it to their friends. And their friends come in, they also make wallets, and everybody joins the system. And it's growing probably like doubling every month at this point.
Good job, bro.
Crazy.
Congratulations, man.
Yeah, we're having fun.
That's freaking awesome, dude. And what got you into the crypto space originally?
So it was this thing, I was looking into DAOs because I was looking for a way to create an unbiased content network. And so if you look at like Facebook or something like that, Facebook decides what order things show up in the newsfeed. And so if they want to put their fingers on the scale of an election, maybe not in North America, but maybe they want to put their finger on the scale of an election in Tanzania.
Yep.
Right? Who's going to know?
I agree.
So there's no way to know, really. And so a DAO to me is the only way to have a truly unbiased content network. Because it has to be governed by the people who use it, and they have to have transparency as the governors to understand how the system works and why it's working the way that it's working.
Yeah, with YouTube, before you used to be able to see what was called your P score.
Right.
On YouTube, this is like, you know what the P score is?
No.
So YouTube, there used to be a way to do like shift command or whatever and actually see the line of code. And there was a P and a number next to it. Then after smart people went through and did the research and compared big channels to not, they realized that you have this, what's called a P score. And the P score is how YouTube determines how your content initially ranks the second you launch it. So if I put out a topic that says Ethereum price predictions,
so if
I have a high P score,
you get a higher ranking and
I
everything.
automatically get right up to the top at P score. And then it goes based off of that video's performance. So like the bigger channels, the higher P score, like when The Rock puts something out, if he put it out an Ethereum price prediction, he would automatically probably be right at the top without actually having to ever have made content with anything related to that topic just based off his P score. And then it goes based off of clicks and watch times, but it's obviously The Rock. So when they have that clout and they automatically get up to page 1, it's very hard for somebody like a new channel like me to compete. And that's why it takes you new channels. But if you master the algorithm, I should say in a way, like it took me a while to realize that live streams were destroying my channel. Wasn't necessarily the live streams, but it was more so how I was doing them and when I was launching those live streams. But there's no way for me to view that code. I wish I knew like, hey, this video is underperforming because I could actually read the code.
Right.
But there's not that transparency.
Well, so this is one of the really cool things about dApps. We're trying to build dApp templates so people can build their own newsfeed. And then the cool thing is all the content that would be in that newsfeed will all be NFTs. So it'll all be on blockchains. And then the newsfeed is just aggregating it. And so I could make mine that has my P scoring system, and you could make yours that has a different scoring system for different types of content for a different community that prioritizes things differently so that everybody has the experience that they want from the platform instead of trying to have like everybody fit into the one model, right?
It's so crazy how this space, like you think you have your head wrapped around what's going on in the crypto world, and then you come to something like this and you're like, what the?
It's amazing how much stuff is happening. I think what we're seeing right now is like an explosion of new technologies that are happening so quickly and in so many directions at the same time. We're going to look back on this 10 years from now and we're going to think, wow, how did all these things happen without us even seeing them at the same time? Because there's people in the background right now working on transaction throughput of like billions of transactions a second. Mm-hmm. Guys quitting from Facebook to go build this stuff.
Yep.
And you got to believe that there's a lot of really smart people out there who want this to happen, right?
100%, man.
And there's so much money on the table to decentralize Facebook and Google.
Yep.
Because they have monopolies. They've got global monopolies. There's a lot of value to be created by, I think, including more people in that system.
I agree. Like pre-sale, I think I've invested in pre-sale or pre-search.
Research?
Yeah, they're trying to build like a decentralized YouTube.
Very cool.
Oh, and they've been around for a long time, but I don't know if it just never took off or back then the technology wasn't where it is now to really build that type of infrastructure on a blockchain, but I haven't done too much work into it, but that was a cool project I invested in a while ago.
Nice. Yeah, we've kind of had this attitude of co-opetition with platforms like this because I think there's a lot of people who are going to try to build decentralized YouTube, right? Everybody wants to do it. And my thinking is like, if we can provide all of them with a little bit of infrastructure, just like one thing here and there to make their lives easier, that's going to quickly accelerate the pace of what's happening. And a lot of other people are thinking the same way, right? Like most of the L1s kind of think that way. They incubate projects, they help people build things.
So you're interested in integrating with Polygon, Ethereum, all blockchains, right?
Yeah, so right now we have Arweave, Ethereum, and we're working on Polygon and Avalanche right now.
Have you spoke with the Kadena team yet?
No.
Have you ever heard of Kadena?
No, I haven't.
So I've been in since I said like Bitcoin back in 2015. So I've seen the projects come and go. And I've never really thought I saw the next Ethereum until I found Kadena. For the first time, I found a layer 1 blockchain that doesn't say they're infinitely scalable. They are actually, and they proved it by going from 10 blockchains to 20.
Oh, wow.
On mainnet. And it's crazy that nobody's really heard of them. Their team said when they talked about like marketing and why people have not heard of them, they said we wanted to build the product, right? And then we wanted to bring it because we didn't want the pump to come in about the hype and the idea, and then there's nothing to be followed through. You get those major pumps and dumps.
Right.
Their CEO founded JP Morgan Chase's first blockchain. He actually built their blockchain division.
Oh, wow.
And then their other
Quorum,
CEO. What's that?
Quorum, is that the one?
I don't know which
Chase
one.
Yeah. Cool.
Yep.
Wow.
And then their other founder was he was the head of the original SEC's blockchain division.
Wow.
So they
Good
have
team.
and their blockchain has 20 chains. And it kind of reminds me of IOTA's Tangle chain, but it's just their chains are all interwebbed. So when they, whatever their transaction throughput is, when that chain gets filled, right? Like how Ethereum's clustered up is because you have all the transactions waiting, and you can only fit so many in a block, correct? Am I saying that right?
Yep.
And then the other ones are just waiting there unless you pay, you go up, right? So when their blockchain gets filled, and even like the blockchains that say they do 400,000 transactions per second, we watched Solana literally stop making blocks because of Star Atlas, the launch and congestion.
What's happened every time that one of these networks says that, they have like a big congestion event.
That's what, and so Kadena so far, and maybe I'm overlooking it, but for the first time, I actually think I found a project that was like, wow, you guys aren't just talking about it like that. Like I can actually view it and look at it and see it from, and I'm not nowhere near as smart as you are on your level when it comes to the tech side of things. So I was curious if like people like you look into it.
Yeah.
But
well, you're pretty good on the tech side. We talked about that a little bit last night. You mentioned you used to be a controls engineer, right?
Yeah, in the robotic
industry. Which is crazy.
Yeah.
That was me too. That was kind of where I started out. It's amazing going from that to crypto. I think we talked about this last night, but there's like this massive psychological shift when you go from working in like a very blue collar, like this is how things are done, this is how they've always been done, there are rules, and then you go into crypto and it's like the technology here is always a matter of debate. And there's always room to change the technology and make it better, and it's constantly changing.
No doubt, man. And it's crazy how little you learn about actually investing and building self-wealth in school. And when you get into the crypto space, it like forces you to actually learn like finance. And it's really like, it almost gets addicting. You're like, wait, I've been able to do this with money and make money in my sleep for, and you're like, wow. And then you realize how, like, then you start to really like go down like the whole Uncle Sam printer go burr, and just.
Most people don't understand economics because the people who understand economics have a vested interest in preventing other people from understanding them. That's why they make you go and study it in school if you want to go and learn from them, right? You have to get into Yale or Stanford. That's where they keep the good economists. They don't let them out. They keep them in the ivory tower. They're like intentionally keeping that information. The Bitcoin crowd is about to destroy all this stuff.
I agree.
It's really exciting.
I agree.
The same is actually, so the same is true for hosting and like for the concept of like having something deployed to the internet. So if you look at like a lot of the traditional computer science professors that I learned from in school, really smart guys, they know how to build good systems, they know how to build reliable systems, but they're teaching Java and Python, which is like really old stuff. Nobody's using that in the industry anymore. And the crazy thing there too is that they're also teaching old architectures. So they're saying you have to deploy your server goes here. A lot of them would even say, like, if you want to have a high performance financial startup, you have to have a bare metal server in your basement. And then you have to have a generator. And then you have to have a satellite hookup so you can make sure that you always stay connected to the internet. It's like, man, no, we don't do that. We just pay AWS.
Yeah.
Because they have that now. You just give it to them. You give them like $100 a month and they take care of all that stuff. Yeah. I think the same level of shift of like that old like bare metal servers to AWS is going to happen from like AWS to decentralized hosting, which is already happening.
Yep.
I can upload like multiple images to decentralized storage networks. They'll be stored forever. And I pay one time for like a penny. It's totally doable now. It's all about the incentives, right? And if you can incentivize the nodes to do more for you, then you have a more effective blockchain. And so with Bitcoin basically incentivizes nodes to just like hash and hash and hash and hash, right? Yep. And that's actually a very good incentive model. That's why the network is so secure. Ethereum is incentivizing people to compute. And they haven't quite worked out the details, which is why it's still expensive to get computation on Ethereum. But then you look at some networks like Arweave and what they're doing with storage, or actually Filecoin as well is a very efficient network. So you can pay a very small fee and you can get a significant service from these nodes. And it is all on-chain. Everything's on-chain. It's all hashed. It's all secured into the system.
That's so freaking cool, man.
It's I think the really amazing thing here is we're working on technology, which is what we show people. We're working on economics, which is also what we show people. But the really neat part in the middle there is this kind of voodoo incentive stuff.
Yep.
And if you can change the incentives of society significantly, then people will do different things with their time. And that's a revolution.
Oh, man. We got to get you back on the show again, man.
For sure.
You have so much knowledge. That's really, it's probably one of the more interesting interviews that I've done since I've been here.
I'm honored to hear that.
I love it, man. That's great. So when will we see your coin out in the network?
So we're looking at a Q1 launch at the moment. We're planning on launching a little sooner, but we wanted to make sure that there's a full ecosystem when it goes live. Because it's one of these things where like, I took money from our investors and they have a vesting period over a couple of years. And we want to make sure that when they start to sell those tokens, that there's somebody there who really wants to buy them. And it's more about managing those expectations and ensuring that the network is very stable before we go live. Because we want to make sure that the content creators that are getting the attention rewards every day, they have to be treated fairly. And so if we create something and the token price slides really significantly, the content creators are the ones that are going to eat it.
Yep. That's so smart, man.
So
that's
we have to make sure that we're
business.
taking care of them. Yeah.
Really smart business. Because it's not about the short game. It really is about the long game. And if you play it from the beginning that way, you end up being the Apple or Amazon.
Right. And people actually understand this too. So like we don't have the token listed yet, but people earn the token for doing things in the network.
Oh, they do already?
Yeah. So the testnet tokens are being generated and handed out to people, and people understand that it's going to sell eventually, and at that point they'll be able to use them. And they can actually use them for stuff. So we've done several NFT drops using the testnet. So people are buying the NFTs using testnet tokens, and the artists that are selling them are appreciating that they're getting Koii tokens because they know that the Koii token has value.
So they're gonna be able to swap the testnet tokens for real tokens the second that you guys actually go live.
Yeah, exactly.
So does that mean that you guys are doing no pre-sale?
We are doing a pre-sale to kind of private investors, and we've done like sort of larger rounds for strategic people. So we're currently pursuing like ecosystem funds and larger kind of institutional investors who can put a lot of backing behind what we're doing and help us to change the game a little bit. Because going up against Facebook and Google is not a small task.
Yeah.
We need some good friends in high places.
Yep. Are you guys? Let me just check on this one more time.
Yeah, for sure.
Are you guys worried about the SEC being a security because you guys have done like the pre-sale? Is that how they're targeting blockchains?
So I would say we're very distinctly a utility token for a few reasons. The first thing is owning a Koii token does not give you anything but the ability to spend the Koii token. And the only thing you can spend it on is buying compute from our network. And so that's really, it is a core utility token. It was designed that way, and the reason that we did that is mainly because the people that we are engaging with this do not deserve to be attacked for their taxation. And in this case, we don't want a bunch of the artists that use our platform to get into hot water. So we've put a lot of work into going and scouting out the legal side of it. Our chief operating officer as well is a former lawyer. He spent a lot of time making sure that what we're doing is legal and is exactly within the lines. There's still a lot of gray area, but we are engaged with a lot of people that know this stuff really well, and they've been able to kind of help us navigate the waters.
Dude, that's really reassuring.
Yeah.
That's what the only thing I'm worried about is like, okay, what of these companies am I putting my money in that may or may not be a security? I just recently consolidated a lot of my portfolio just because I feel like we're at that point where they can't just tiptoe around it anymore. Like the government really is getting to that point where like if you don't do something, when you do it, it's just going to be a complete F, So,
and there's a lot of people in the crypto space that are kind of making this more difficult for the rest of us too, because a lot of people are trying to build things like STOs, like security token offerings, and I think it's muddying the waters a lot, because those are actually not decentralized in any fashion. They're actually private companies that are using the blockchain to sell their equity, and that's a very different application. And I think that's just confusing people, because now you've got tokens that are actually their equity basically, and then you've got other tokens that are literally tokens.
No doubt,
and
without doubt.
We want the literal tokens. That's what creates decentralization.
Yep.
That's where the real value creation comes from, is these economic flywheels, right? But I think we're getting closer.
I agree.
I've met a number of people from the IRS and SEC who are actually very reasonable about this stuff.
Oh, great.
Yeah, they're very. I think they're very open to how we're thinking about this, and I think that they mainly want to make sure that what we're doing doesn't lead to people who are advantageously taking advantage, or they don't want people to get taken advantage of, and they want to make sure that we're doing things the right way. But when you open a line of communications with them, they're very receptive.
That's awesome, man. Well, thank you, man. Al.
Very great talking.
Dude, thank you so much. And so tell us where everybody can find your information again one more time. What do you guys, social media, what are you guys most active on?
So the #1 place to go is Koii.network,
Yep.
KOII.network.
Yep.
And then @Koii is my Twitter, and @Koii Network is our other Twitter. So the Twitter is really the big thing. The other thing though is we do have a Discord channel, which is more developer oriented. There's about 10,000 people in there every day talking about this.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dude, congratulations, man. It was a really an honor. Thank you so much for coming on the show, and hopefully you'll come back on.
Yeah.
Great,
love
man.
to.
Buddy, appreciate it, man.
And that's a wrap, YouTube, on the Koii Network. Shout out to Al, shout out to everybody at the Koii Network team. I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much for coming on the show, and I would love to have you guys back. Can't wait to link up with you guys in Miami, and I'm looking forward to seeing where this journey goes and where you guys take this project. So definitely gonna get me some of these zombies for sure. So thank you guys. Can't wait to see you guys in the next video. Peace.